So yes, you're right. The things I talk about, you don't need to do to be a CISO. But if you want to be world class, if you want to be the best in the business, if you want to be the elite 1%, if you want to make 5 times as much money as average CISOs do, then keep listening. Welcome to Life of a CISO. I'm Dr. Eric Cole, your host, and we'll be taking you on a journey each week on what it takes to be a CISO and what are solutions that you can implement today if you are currently a Chief Information Security Officer or if you want to be one in the future. This is Life of a CISO. Welcome, 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 welcome. I hope you know what time it is. It's my favorite time. I hope it's your favorite time. It's time for Dr. E to come in the studio and talk to you about being a world-class CISO. So what do you think of the new pic? You like the new picture? You think it's cool? Hopefully you think it's cool. We just got some new pictures taken because let's just face it, I'm getting better looking every month and every year, right? I have a birthday coming up. We'll do multiple questions today. So first question is, you like my new pic? What do you think? You like it? Here we got another one coming for you later on there, right? We got 2 of you new pics there. Excited Eric and Data Center Eric, right? So just wanted to get your thoughts. So that's question 1. Question 2, how old do you think I am? Ooh. And then we're going to do a bonus question, bonus round. Where is this picture taken? Right, we're going to have some fun for you. And we'll actually have some giveaways. So we have copies of my book. It'll either be a cyber crisis or online danger. We'll mix it up. We'll surprise you. But post some messages below and we'll pick some winners. We'll contact you and we'll send them out and have some fun here. Let's start having even more fun, right? The question isn't what most people ask, which is pain or pleasure. Right? And most people, unfortunately, try to minimize pain. What we're all about is pleasure or more pleasure, right? How much fun can you handle in this thing called life, right? So we're going to have some great times today. Today's topic is actually being world class, right? It's being world class in all areas of your life. I realize we haven't really been touching the other domains of life that much, and it's important because guess what? A world-class CISO must have an elite body. A world-class CISO must have an elite mindset. A world-class CISO must have world-class relationships and be in a world-class environment. Because the bottom line is simple. All of those 3 are either going to drain energy and make you lose focus, or they're going to empower you and give you energy to go to that next level. So it's important that we don't just sit there and say, okay, being a world-class CISO is just about strategy and talking to executives and putting together plans and all that. Because let's face it, if you're not feeling good, if you're missing work, not that any of this would happen to any of you, but just hypothetically saying if you're in the hospital, if you're feeling down, if you're depressed, if you're not feeling good, if you're coming to work every day after getting yelled at or screamed at or getting into a fight or screaming at other people, right? Either way, do you really think you're going to be operating at 100%? Do you really think you're going to be really focused and doing the best you possibly can? Of course not. So when we're here about world class, I care about you. I care about you. I love you. I cannot wait to hear your success stories. That's why I'm different from most other CISO podcasts and anything else out there, because I'm covering everything. Right? I'll sometimes have folks listen to some of my episodes like this and they're like, dude, what are you doing? I'm like, what do you mean, what are you doing? You talked about fitness and exercise and mindset and limiting beliefs. I'm like, yeah. And they're like, that has nothing to do with being a CISO. You know what my answer is? You're absolutely correct. It has nothing to do with being an average CISO. So if you just want the paycheck, if you just want the title, and you just want to be average, cool. Bye-bye. You're not going to last here, right? Because I'm not going to tolerate it. You're going to get frustrated with me. We're just not going to get along. I'm not for everyone, right? I fully recognize it's this concept that you need to have a message that resonates with everyone. I have a very certain special avatar, just like you, that want to be world-class, that want to act different, think different, and show up different. And that's who I'm after. So yes, you're right. The things I talk about, you don't need to do to be a CISO. But if you want to be world class, if you want to be the best in the business, if you want to be the elite 1%, if you want to make 5 times as much money as average CISOs do, then keep listening. Keep listening. Buckle up. Because guess what? Here we go. So question, are you world class? Just honestly, right? And I'll tell you, we typically have 2 groups of people. We have some groups of people that are going to go, yeah. And there's some groups of people that are going to go, no. Reality is, yeah, you're probably good in some areas and not others. So here's what we're going to do. To me, world class is really 4 areas. You got body, mind, relationships, and business. Those are really your 4 key areas that they all need to be optimized. They all need to be performing at a level that you can go in and conquer the world and do anything or everything with. So let's go ahead and get started. Are you world class in your body? When it comes to your body, do you think of it as a strategic weapon? Right? Do you think of it as the movie I was growing up? I loved Lethal Weapon. Right? Great movie. I wish they stopped after like episode 4. I think there was like Lethal Weapon 7, 8. That was the thing in the 80s. If you have a good movie, you just keep going forever. And they should have stopped earlier. But is your body a lethal weapon? First and foremost, when was the last time you had a physical? When was the last time you had some blood work? When was the last time you looked inside and saw how you were doing? One of the best indicators of your overall health, one of the best predictors or early detectors of any potential problems or issues is your blood work. The way things typically work is if there is something misaligned or your body is not at ease, right? Where do you think disease comes from, right? Disease means the body is not at ease. So when that body is not at ease or there's issues or problems, what's the first thing that changes? Your blood. Either your body's going to try to fight an infection, right, with red or white blood cells, so there's going to be different indicators of certain organs are not working. There's different enzymes that change and modify and alter. But here's the issue. You don't feel anything. You don't feel anything if your blood work changes a little bit. You don't really feel it. Yeah, it might little energy shifts or things like that, but you don't really feel it right away. But if you did blood work, you would know there was something there and you could address it quickly. Then if the problem gets ignored, what will eventually happen if your body is not at ease? You will eventually start to get physical symptoms. Now, the problem is by the time you start getting physical symptoms, whatever was wrong with you is usually pretty intense at that point. Right? It's pretty intense that it got to that level, and it's much, much harder to deal with. Almost any doctor, and I'm not a medical doctor, I'm not giving medical advice, anything else, it's just a friend giving friends some advice here. But every time I've talked to doctors, when I've had friends or family members that weren't doing well, they always said, if we only caught it earlier. Almost all issues or problems with the body, if you catch them early enough, they're treatable. But the way you catch them is by looking inside with blood work. So I am a big fan of getting a physical with full blood work done on a regular basis. It helps give you insight and visibility and be able to see what's happening and what's going on. You don't have to be at my level of intensity. People say I look crazy, right? But I also think I'm pretty good shape and feeling pretty good and doing pretty good for my age, which I'm not going to tell you because I want you to guess, right? One of the contests we have running with you today, but I get quarterly blood work. It's not hard. There's probably LabCorp or some places near your house, 5 or 10 minute drive, takes 5 or 10 minutes, right? 20 minutes, you're in and out, you're good to go, right? And then you at least have a good understanding. Every time I felt a little off, a little tired, a little down, issues like that, and I get blood work, there's always something in that blood work that helps me understand or see what's happening and what's occurring there. So definitely, once again, don't have to do it today or tomorrow, but just something to be aware of. How elite are you being with your body? Do you actually take care of it? Are you proactive? Do you get physicals? Do you get blood work? Do you get things done before there's problems or issues? Or do you just wait for there to be symptoms, wait for something to be off, and then do reactive measures? World-class people are proactive. World-class people are proactive with their body. Second, exercise. How often do you exercise? When was the last time you exercised? And here's the funny part is, you can look at somebody and tell whether they exercise or not. So when I do the one-on-one coaching and we do Zoom or we meet in person, the first time I meet this person, I ask them the question, but I know the answer. I know the answer of whether they do or don't exercise. It's pretty obvious, right? When you look at somebody, you can tell whether they do or don't. So once again, exercise is blood flow. Exercise is oxygenation. What are the two things your brain needs the most? Blood and oxygen. What is one great way of getting blood flowing and oxygen flowing to the brain? Exercising and working out. So it's not just about the muscles, right? The muscles are good, right? The muscles are fun, right? I love going to the gym, and especially over the holiday breaks where you have the athletes and the football players from all the big colleges in the area, like UVA and Virginia Tech and all those. And they come up to me and go, dude, what kind of workout do you do? I'm like, right? When you got 20, 21-year-olds asking the slightly older person, about how to exercise, and that's pretty cool, right? That's pretty fun stuff. So point is, exercise is big. Now you figure out what exercise works for you. Like I said, I'm not a doctor. I'm not a physical therapist. I'm not a personal trainer, but figure out what works for you and get in a routine where you're constantly exercising. Here's mine. My team can tell. My EA at 3 o'clock in the afternoon will know whether I went to the gym or not. Because when I go to the gym in the morning, I'm focused. I'm energized. And here's the most important part. I'm happy and in a good mood. When I am cranky, and I know, even I get cranky once in a while, but if I'm cranky or in a bad mood or tired, she will literally ask me, Eric, why don't you go to the gym this morning? Are you going to go tomorrow? I'm going to schedule it on your calendar. You need to go to the gym, right? There is a visual difference, right, of how I feel and how I show up. And then third, what are you eating? What are you eating? What is the food? What is the general macro protein, carbs, fat, right? This is one where I sort of agree, but I don't agree with a lot of folks. A lot of your traditional exercise, workout, nutritionists, personal trainers go, it's real simple. Calories equal weight gain or weight loss. If you decrease calories, you lose weight. You increase calories, you gain weight or gain muscle. So if you just want to lose weight, it's easy. Decrease calories. Here's my issue. At some level, yes, calories are energy, and there's some logic to it. But let me ask you a question. If I'm doing 1,500 calories of ice cream, which is about a pint of ice cream, just in case you don't know, it's actually around 1,200 depending on which brand and the level of stuff they add in it, but it's about 1,200 to 1,500 calories. Or I eat 2 or 3 meals of chicken and broccoli, and I get to 1,500. We really going to say that's the same? You're really going to feel the same? You're really going to look the same? You really are going to show up the same? Now, maybe, maybe not. You lose weight depending on how your body is and how you process it, because fats and carbs are processed a lot different than proteins. But the reality is there's a big difference on your overall health and how you eat. So one thing that I do is just track and monitor what you eat and look at it. You're smart. You can look at something and go, that actually makes sense, right? I bet you if I put up 2 diets right now, you could look at that and go, yeah, that one is probably a healthy person and they're probably looking good and losing weight. That one, not so much, right? You're smart here. You don't have to have degrees in nutrition to look at obvious. So to me, a lot of the ways I do health and fitness is just obvious. Just a general litmus test. Just take a look and see. And what is one of the most critical parts of eating? That's probably the one that almost everybody neglects. This is the biggest issue. Hydration. How much water? By the way, I had a friend of mine goes, yeah, I drink 50 to 60 ounces of liquid a day. Always be careful of words. I said, why don't you say water? Oh, Eric, it's soda, but it's the same thing. Soda's base. I'm like, no. I said, all the sugar and garbage and sweeteners, and that does not count. And actually, do you realize caffeinated beverages are dehydrants? They dehydrate you. So it actually works against you. So if you go, oh, I've drank 4 or 5 sodas, which is 50 ounces. No. It's actually taken away because the caffeine will dehydrate your body. So, Now, if you want to go in and put a little flavoring in water, I do that. I don't love water. So I either put some flavoring, I do some BCAAs in there, or some of the hydration, like Liquid IV and some of those that are out there. Just add a little flavor, add a little potassium, sodium, and things like that. So that's okay. A little bit into that. Once again, always check with the doctor or nutritionist, but you need to get water, right? Most will say about a gallon, about 120, 130 ounces in it. But here's the real question. How much water are you actually drinking? Most people, believe it or not, if you look at actual water, not beverages, juice, soda, or that other stuff, actual water, you realize most people are below 30 ounces? Great, wonder why a lot of people don't feel good, right? We're all walking around dehydrated, right? So my rule is just drink an extra glass each day. What I like to do is I carry a glass around with me, and whenever I look at it, if it's full, I drink it, and whenever it's empty, I fill it up. So you essentially all day just sort of, empty, fill it up again. And you do that, you'll easily be able to get 100 plus ounces. And here's the trick with any of this. Experiment, see how you feel. I can tell when I'm dehydrated. I can tell days that I don't drink enough water and days that I do drink enough water. And here's the other cool part. Drinking water helps with weight loss. It helps with the weight loss front because it will go in and help your body and metabolism process things a lot quicker and a lot faster than you normally do. So question, are you world class in your body? And basically 4 questions there. 4 questions for world class. Do you get regular physicals and blood work? Are you proactive in your health? Yes or no? No, maybe. Yes or no? Second question. Do you exercise on a regular basis? Do you do something that makes you sweat? Do you do something that gets your heart rate going? Do you do something that increases your blood flow and your oxygen levels? 3, are you aware of what you're eating? Do you actually, once a week or once a month, depending on how disciplined you are, you actually for a day or 2, you write down exactly what you're eating and you look at it and go, that makes sense. That looks like what a healthy person would eat. And you're actually comfortable with that. Do you track and aware of what you eat? Because here's the reality. many of us, and I fall into this sometimes too, where I'll look in the mirror and I'll be like, that doesn't look good on you, dude. That's not a good look for you, man, right? If the belly's coming up a little bit and stuff. And I'll step back and I'll track what I'm doing. I'm like, I ate 600 extra calories. What I mean by that is I just walk by the pantry and you grab a cookie, 100 plus calories. You grab a chip, you grab the, right? It's that little, what we call grazing or snacking, that, it's just one cookie or one chip or one cracker or one this, and it doesn't seem like it's that, or one soda. Soda's the biggest culprit. I know a lot of folks, when they track that, they're like, Eric, I was drinking 700 calories of soda, right, with sugar, right, all day long. So it's just that awareness factor. And then the fourth one is hydration. Water, 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 water. So that's basically our 4-point check. Are you world-class in your body? And we just did that 4-point check that we want you to look at. Next question is, are you world-class in your mindset? The way you think. Are you positive or negative? Do you look at things as always working out for you, or things never work out for you? Because once again, everything starts in your conscious mind. This idea of seeing is believing is backwards. Believing is seeing. You must think about what you want before it's manifested in the physical world. So here's the coolest part. Whatever you believe in terms of creation, whoever created us was pretty amazing. They created this awesome feedback loop, which is this. Look at your life. Look at your external world. What you have, who's in it, and the quality of life. And that is exactly what you think about. Because what you think about creates it. Now, you might not be aware. It might be unconscious thoughts. It might be programs. It might be habits. It might be things you are not aware of. But the reality is, whatever you currently have is based on what you think about and focus on. So here's the coolest part. Change your focus, change your thoughts, change your life. It's simple in the concept. It's hard because most of us have habits and we don't want to change. But it all comes down to whether you believe you can do something or not, whether you believe you can accomplish it. One of my favorite stories, and whenever I give stories, I always make them fictional. So this way I don't have to worry about the details, right? Makes it a little easier and simpler there. But there was a world-renowned physicist, and he talks about when he was in college. And he talks about he was in college, he was working on his PhD, and he was taking an advanced physics course. And every day he goes to this course, and the professor teaches for a few hours. And as the professor's teaching, they write on the board 2 or 3 questions, and that's the homework for the week. So at the end of every class, there's questions written on the board, and they would write them down, and that's their homework. So on one particular day, he was running late. His car broke down, got a flat tire, right, had a bunch of issues. And by the time he got to class, there was only 5 minutes left in class. So he got there at the very end, and his thought was, I missed the lecture, but at least I got the homework. At least I got the homework that we need in order to cover. So he goes in and he writes down the homework and he leaves. Now, on the weekend, he starts working on what he believed to be the homework, and he realized these problems were a lot harder than the normal homework, right? He didn't find anything in the textbook. He didn't find anything out there. So he's like, okay, this is, I guess the teacher's cranking it up, but this is really, really difficult. So he worked all weekend long, and he was finally able to solve one of the problems, but he wasn't able to solve the other 2. So he figured he'd come clean. So he goes to his professor before class, and he goes, listen, I know I missed the lecture. I showed up late. I apologize. And you probably taught how to do this. But I'm really struggling on this week's homework, and I was only able to solve one of the problems. And the professor looks at him and sort of starts smiling. And he takes his work and he goes, you actually were able to solve one of these problems. And so it's like, yeah, it was the homework. And the professor starts laughing. He goes, no. He goes, you missed the lecture. You know what the lecture was on today? And he goes, no, it was impossible problems in physics. What you saw on the board were 3 of the unsolvable problems in physics. These were 3 problems that the greatest minds over the last 50 years were unable to solve. And he's smirking, looking at the paper, and go, you just solved one of them. You have your PhD, my friend, right? You just solved one of the impossible problems in physics. Now, the moral of the story is this. He did not know it was impossible. He thought it was homework. His mind thought it was homework, and he approached it that this is homework that is doable, and therefore I must solve it. And guess what? He did. Now, let me ask you a question. If he was in the entire lecture for the entire time, and he kept being told, these are unsolvable problems, these are impossible problems, do you think he would have solved it? No, because his mind would have accepted, this is a trusted professor, it would have accepted the truth that these are unsolvable, and he would not even tried. But because he believed they were homework and solvable, everything changed. What if that's how you approach the world? What if you approach the world that every problem is solvable? That everything you run up across, there is a solution for you to be able to solve that particular issue. Everything changes for you, right? It's how you approach the world. And I sort of always say there's 2 general types of people, and you've probably seen this. There are some that view we live in a hostile universe that's out to prove and test our patience. There's another group that believes we live in a friendly universe that's there to help and serve us. Now, can you see how if you come into a situation, how those 2 mindsets can really mess with you? So, for example, if you're a CISO and you have a meeting with the CEO and they cancel last minute, if you're the type of person that believes you live in a hostile universe and everyone's out to get you, what are you going to do? You're probably going to be pissed. You might even go in and fire off an email. I've been planning for this meeting. How dare you? And you probably go off on their executive assistant, and you're probably angry and mad in a bad mood for a couple of days because it was deliberately out to get you. But if a world-class CISO believes we live in a friendly universe and everything works out for your greatest good, you actually go, oh, thank you. That actually gives me a little more time to plan. And then it gives you an opportunity. You can now get a favor with the executive assistant. Go, listen, I understand you're in a hot spot there. No worries at all. Appreciate you letting me know. I was just wondering, we originally had 45 minutes. Is there any way I could just sneak 5 minutes in over the next week? I just have a quick question. Right now, all of a sudden, you're in a good area or opportunity. You can then send a nice note saying, hey, I know we didn't get a chance to meet today, but I just wanted to share some quick information with you. And now you have a reason for them to take your email, process, and read your email. So it's all how you want to view the world, what your belief structure is. Now, this is one that it's going to take work to change. But if you work on it, this one could be, totally revolutionary for you. Because if you start seeing where your limiting beliefs are, what are the things that are holding you back? What are the things that you believe that are not true? That if were true, could change how you show up, and you start changing it and altering those beliefs, all of a sudden you become very, very powerful. One of the things I've gotten a lot of credit for. And honestly, the credit's not to me, the credit's to you. But I have so many folks that have been looking to become a CISO for years. And they apply for jobs, they go on interviews, and they get turned down time after time after time after time. And I talk to them, and 9 times out of 10, when I have a conversation with them, it goes something like this. Eric, I'm just not CISO material. I was born to be an engineer. I was born to be technical. I'm just not meant to be a CISO, and nobody is going to hire me as a CISO. Now, let me ask you a question. If that's how you're showing up to the interview, and what's playing in your mind is, I'm not a CISO. I'm not a CISO. I'm not a CISO. They're not going to hire me. They're not going to hire me. Do you really believe you're going to crush it? Did you really believe you're going to show up ready? No, because you're defeated. You're going in already defeated. So what I do is I work with those individuals, and it could be anywhere. Sometimes it's 5 minutes. Sometimes it's 5 sessions, but I convince them that they are CISO material. I convince them that all the other jobs weren't the right job, and there is the right job for them. They are a CISO, and whatever company hires them as a CISO is going to be so blessed and honored to have them at their company that they're never going to want them to leave. Now, if you really make that shift, not artificial, but you truly make the shift that you are a CISO and you are the best possible CISO, and this company would be so lucky to have you as their CISO. And oh, by the way, you're not interviewing me. I'm interviewing you. When I go into this job, I am so confident that I am the best candidate and that you're going to offer me a job. That's a no-brainer, a done deal. What I need to determine is, do I want to work at your company? Are you worthy of having me? Right? A little push it, but you see the idea. And it's funny because society will teach us, oh, that's having an ego, right? No, that's called believing in yourself, right? That's called trusting in yourself and knowing that you can do it. So just pay attention. Listen to your words. Are you positive or negative, right? Where are things that you're doing negative self-talk against yourself? Where are things that you put yourself down? Where are things that you're not excelling where you should be? Because I'll tell you right now, if you are not excelling in a specific area, it most likely is because of limiting beliefs. Now, could it be a little skill set issue? Of course, but it is definitely limiting beliefs that are there. So spend some time really paying attention to your words and what you're saying. And most importantly, I do this each week. Pick an area where you're not where you want to be. Pick an area where you feel like you're struggling or there's obstacles, and really examine the thoughts and beliefs you have around it and start to flip them. Start to switch them, because if you change your belief structure and what you think about, everything changes. Sometimes the difference between getting a CISO job or not has nothing to do with your skill set or your CV. It has everything to do with your mindset. And I have dozens of case studies to prove that. I have taken people that couldn't get jobs for 2 to 3 years. We didn't change their CV. We didn't change their technical skills. I didn't change how they dressed. I didn't change their hairstyle. All I did was change their mindset, and literally overnight, boom, everything changed for them. So the question is, are you ready to be a world-class CISO? And this ends up being a 2-part series. I got so excited we only covered 2 of them. So being world-class part 1, we went in and we looked at body and mindset. And then next week, we'll jump into part 2, looking at environment, relationships, and your business. Hope you enjoyed this episode. Have an amazing week, and we'll see you next week on Life of a CISO.